everyone, Joe here from ActionX. Welcome to What's on the Tube, or welcome back if this is your 12th Rookie Season 3 episode review. It felt forever. Oscars were last week. They did pretty poorly. A lot has happened in the last 2 weeks for me in my personal life, so I apologize if I sound a little bit more different than normal. It's not because I'm not... I just have a lot of stuff in my head right now, plus I've also been up since 7:30 in the morning, and I'm recording this review at 11:30 at night because my workplace hates me, and the show kind of I really hope when this show gets to season 4, maybe we can go a little earlier. Come on, ABC, come on. Do you really need it to be at 10 o'clock at night? Do you really need it? Come on, be honest here. I kind of wanted to start early. Okay, that's my opinion. So here we go. Going into this episode, it was a lot of stakes in the air because of the way the episode was kind of like previewed and, shot. And I'm not surprised that certain things didn't happen. Some things did happen. This episode definitely kind of subverted my expectations and kind of like made me like, okay, I'm a little bit disappointed on certain aspects, as well as I was actually really shocked on certain other aspects. And I really can't wait to see how they're going to wrap this to a close. Also, just to let you know, apparently this season, The Rookie is wrapping up. Season 3 will be wrapping up with episode 14, which means this is kind of the beginning of the end for the season. We're sad to say. I knew COVID was going to kind of like punt a lot of episodes back, but I did not expect it to be 6 episodes behind. I am not surprised. I am obviously a little bummed out, but considering how COVID has affected everything, and The Rookie has had a very problematic production season this year with COVID, and then having their actual set being close by to actual real life crime scene. There was just so many things in the air that really shorthanded season 3 of Rookie. But I do believe if I'm going to jump ahead to the overall review, I think they still powered through. However, just to let you know, throughout the next 5 weeks, we will be back with Rookie episode reviews. We'll have a Rookie video every week, so we'll have the next 3 weeks, including today, be the episode reviews, and then after season 3 is properly wrapped, we will have a season 3 review the next week after the finale, and then the week after that is the season 4 predictions video, which hopefully by then ABC will renew the show. Hopefully, you got time, ABC, you got a month. But I would prefer the renewal to be sooner than later, because if you end me off on another damn cliffhanger, I'm going to be superbly mad, and I will express it on my very small social media. Anyway, with that being said, let's get down to it with this week's Butchered Recap and talk about this week's episode of The Rookie. So immediately, this was going to set the tone for a much more serious episode. There wasn't as much comedy going on this week, considering the fact there's a lot of stakes at play here with all the storylines, and I kind of expected that. But my only critique, and this could just be my taste in music, is when we began the episode and we saw Nolan and Henry being obviously gravely ill, and then Henry's fiance. Seeing that montage of them bringing him into the hospital, and then getting him situated, trying to figure out what's going on, what's happening here, and then all that sort of thing. But my only critique was that the music choice they picked at the start of this episode, not the best in my opinion. I just didn't like the song. I don't think it set the mood for this montage in my opinion. It really didn't. We also get a little bit of a I'm pretty sure they mentioned this in the first season, the second season, and again, it's been a very long year for all of us, it's been a very long few months for me, so I apologize if I didn't remember this. Back when Henry was born, Nolan and his ex-wife had to deal with so many birth complications following his birth, which involved massive amount of surgeries, and as well as being very life-threatening. So this is a result of the surgeries they performed for him as a baby, as what they did for him as a baby was only meant to kind of like help him out in his first 18 years of life. Now here he is becoming a young adult. Now whatever they did for him is beginning to start to wane, and now he's starting to really feel the consequences of his birth defect or birth disease. I forgot what the terminology was. Also, Nolan is aware this is a much more serious situation since he's calling him kiddo, which apparently he has not called him since he was a kid. So the Nolan is very much a little bit more serious at tune this week, and yeah. So, but also you should know that the entire episode takes place, but basically in the hospital. Whether that was a COVID-19 like related, like, oh, let's just film in this one location, let's just get all the shots done, or who knows? I really don't know, but I'm assuming this was the case. Be it as it may, Harper and Bradford head off to the hospital to go see Nolan, give him some breakfast, and kind of like trying to do some small talk, trying to like, basically tell him, hey, it's going to be fine, man, how's things going, that sort of thing. It's nice that, they're still finding ways to kind of like not give Bradford a new rookie. I'm pretty sure considering the way the remaining few episodes are going to pan, well, after this one, the couple of episodes are going to pan out, I do believe we're just not going to start the new rookies until season 4, which is smart because last week when we were kind of briefly getting trickled with that idea, I felt excited, but also to shoehorn in new characters at a end of a season is not the smartest moves, considering the fact, what if the rookie doesn't get renewed? You got to be aware of that, and that's another possibility. So I'm very thankful they did that. Commander Gray in civilian clothes comes in to kind of like dismiss them, saying that, oh, you got to go on take care of some other things right now, while Gray's there to kind of like really be there for Nolan. Nolan's obviously like, hey, I don't get vacation days, but I should really be. And Gray, in one of his rare moments, actually has a humane side and said, I already talked about this with the captain. You're good. Don't worry about it. Family is first. You are exactly where you need to be. So I'm like, yes, thank you. So they're doing well. So we got a bombardment of storylines here. So obviously Nolan, this is where we kind of split off. We're going to go through the smaller one, for the one that's like kind of like really disconnected from this one, where Chen and Wes off camera brings in a suspect who was she was doing something. I completely forgot what she was doing, but she got caught. I know this actress. I don't know her name. She was a Disney Channel star back a couple years ago, towards the end of my time on the channel before I switched over to bigger and better things on real networks. No offense to Disney Channel. Hopefully they're still doing well. So she's getting stitched up. Also, we're getting kind of like another update on Tamara, which is Chen's little sister, not really sister, soul sisters, you want to call, she's moved in, but however, Wes is not entirely comfortable with this idea since, he doesn't really 100% know her, since obviously he has a point, she's just a girl off the street that Chen befriended, and she seems nice, but is it enough to kind of trust her to move in with a very longer period of time than most people would feel comfortable for? I do understand Wes's point here, and he's not feeling comfortable with it. He's also like very concerned about it, and obviously that's more money to put into the household, since Tamara is eating more of their food and taking up more of their electricity, resources, that sort of thing, and they're pretty much two cops on a salary, so there's only so much they can do with that type of money. But Chen apparently signed her up for a program that is for foster kids who have passed the age of taking care of it. So I think it's either past 18 or past 17. I forgot which one it was. However, the only reason why Chen hasn't gotten an update on the matter is because every time she keeps calling, there's always a humongous wait line, which honestly I understand. I have been through some calls in the last few weeks, and those wait times are atrocious, and they make me say, fuck it, I kind of don't want to deal with this right now. I'll deal with it later, / I have very limited time to be wasting my time on hold. But chances are, you know what, let me do it this time. Shouldn't be that much. It's only 3 people, thank God. However, much later on, when they're making a joke about calories and, dietary restrictions, Chen is about to finally get through with a representative, and then the Disney Channel girl decides to make an escape. A very small chase scene ensues, but however, she stops in the middle of an active driveway, and she passes out. Not passes out. She kind of passes out. Yeah, she passes out in the middle, and they bring her back in. It turns out that she's one of those old-fashioned. She makes little bags of drugs, and she just swallows them. and then the whole point is that you have to transport them pretty quickly before your stomach acid destroys them, and then you have to throw them up. Which I never understood the logic of that, since stomach acid is acid, so wouldn't that really kind of penetrate the thing pretty carefully? Honestly, I really don't know how the fuck people even do international flights, because if you imagine, in the drug trade that people from other countries, they would actually do that sort of thing. They would still have to go through all the TSA stuff, go through all the checking, go through all the, everything you need to do before you even get to the waiting area of the plane. They got to wait for the plane. Then you got to be on the plane. And sometimes those trips are humongously large. And then after that, you have to come back all the way and then you do the whole process again. And then eventually get to a safe haven when there's no security. It's like, how do they do it? Like, legit, like, I know, like, they get paid a lot of money for it, but regardless if you get caught or not, that's still a health risk, and, you could end up dying for a risk. Also, today's tea is brought to you in part by Honey Bush and Orange, which is amazing, and I have apparently bought 3 boxes without me knowing about it. Oh, I'm losing my mind over here, everyone. Moving onwards, so she's kind of, like, still getting back acquainted. I don't know if we get a scene between them just quite yet. I think we do. Or do we? I don't know. I think she still remains passed out for a little bit longer. Chen tries to call in again, this time with 46 callers ahead of her, and I'm just thinking, how many people are calling in and purposely waiting on this long ass line? Like, how many people are doing this? And they should really come up with a better system for this. They really should. A little bit later on, the Disney Channel girl wakes up, and they kind of piece together that she is like kind of one of those drug mules, that she's all she's doing is swallowing the drugs and then having to go past a certain point to fur up the drugs and then, get that all acquainted. That was my assumption on the matter, but the girl is immediately scared because, she's kind of in a very difficult stage in her life since she lost her job, she couldn't pay for college anymore, and this guy kind of offered her like a huge sum of cash just to transport some happy pills, and she didn't see any harm in it, but, to be the case, she had to take it, and I definitely understand the decision-making process of it. I don't completely agree with the decision at all, but because I'm pretty sure there were other options out there, or however the case may be. So, I believe, however, Chen decides, to offer her a little bit of a pity deal that, like, hey, as long as you confess, we can get you on just transport alone, and you can agree to testify against the dealer. You could just get a slap on the wrist on this. And the girl's about to debate on it, but then she gets into a cardiac arrest or something like that, and, she has to get wheeled away to surgery to remove those drug packets out of her system. So they're left on hold on there for a while. Later on, they also there was a scene where Chen apparently finds out that Wes installed nanny cam surveillance cameras in their apartment to keep an eye on tomorrow when they're not around, which is kind of like I understand Wes. I really do. I don't. Chen, I get her point of view, but Wes is not the same as Chen. He doesn't have that sort of relationship with Tamara, so you can't expect him to immediately be on board with the idea of having a random, person you don't trust into your household. That's something that I completely understand why he would need to install security cams, and I would definitely do it myself. Also, I'm so sorry. This is the only thing keeping me going at this time of night. Where were we? Okay. But then later on, also they drop a Baby Yoda reference, and I'm thinking like, this is probably not the most legalist thing to do. And then I realized, well, ABC is owned by Disney, Star Wars is owned by Disney, so I was like, damn it, I forgot the Rookie is technically owned by Disney. I completely forgot about that. But anyway, moving on. So later on, Chen manages to get through to someone on the hold line, thus confirming that tomorrow's application has been approved, and she will be receiving some help coming through so they can help out paying for her extra expenditures, as well as the girl also survived everything. She's all right, and that kind of wraps it up for that kind of sort of series from back at home. Chen and Wes around. Also, it's very suspicious for me. It could be just because of COVID, but that Chen and Wes did not share a scene with Nolan this week. It's a little bit suspicious since, like, the three of them are so close, and, like, Wait, you're telling me that Chen and West did not at least pay him once a visit for his son's, you know, situation? I mean, it's a little bit weird, but that's like my only real critique of that storyline for the week, that we didn't at least get one scene with them. Back at home, Tamar is cooking lasagna for them as a kind of a gesture of like goodwill, that like, hey, you brought me in. This is like the first time I've ever been safe in a household, you know, that sort of thing. Wes was about to start bringing up the whole spying things and the not trusting things, but Chen talks him out of it and says, you know what, you can stay as long as you want. Don't worry about it. And I'm presuming they're about to start a binge of The Mandalorian, so we'll see them in a couple weeks. And so anyway, I talked a lot about the minor storyline. Let's get to the next one, which is Lopez. Lopez and Wesley are in the hospital conveniently for a oh god, my best friend is going to kill me for not recognizing this because she's technically studied in that field for a brief bit. Oh god, I completely forgot. They're there checking up something for the baby, and also while when Bradford and Harper got called away after Greg showed up for Nolan, they discovered that La Infuenda is returned. She's back in LA, but however, it's not for the reason you expect it to be. So obviously, Lopez, having a very now a distinct connection to La Fuenta, wants to go investigate on her own, leaving Wesley behind in one of the most like, you need the pregnant woman to be there for your appointment type ordeals. So that was hilarious. His running gag for the entire episode is pretty funny as well. So Lopez takes over surveilling for La Infuenda. And it turns out she's only there because her son had an accident while playing a game. And, you know, they're there for surgery. So they're hopeful that he can get back on the field pretty soon. It's kind of a weird dynamic between Lopez and La Fuenza, since one, Lopez is a cop and she needs to take her La Fuenza down, but then La Fuenza is like only just thinking of, you know, we're Hispanic hermanas, and, you know, we're mothers, and, you know, that sort of thing, trying to like appeal to that sort of thing, which kind of does work a little bit. And initially Fuenza's like, look, don't worry, I'm only here for my son, and then I'm out. Don't worry. So it seems like that was the case for that. And then Bradford and Harper, were they just randomly walking, or I don't exactly remember what entirely happened in this chain of events, but Harper, oh yeah, also Bradford's still doing his Man of Honor deeds. He has to plan the freaking Lopez's bachelorette party, and I'm thinking, oh my god, I feel so sorry for this man. This is all we're giving him now in the story. We don't give him a boon, we just make him the Man of Honor. Oh man, what are the odds? However, they run into one of Bradford's old cop buddies, the one we saw back in the undercover episode where Bradford had to fess up to the higher authorities that, hey, this guy's kind of like under the influence, and, you know, he can't be trusted to be on the force. So he's not doing so well in his life, since he's going through a divorce. He has to pay alimony, he has to pay child support, he has to pay a bunch of lawyer fees. He has no pension anymore, so he has no future money stacked out. Basically, being a bodyguard to bad guys is the only real job he's able to get. And he's guarding one of the most biggest cartel leaders in the LA area, who's sadly on his deathbed. So he's just getting the 3 days worth of money, and then he's just going to cash out and use whatever he could. It's a bit tense between him and Bradford, since he's still pretty stingy. The fact that Bradford was the one who took him down. But honestly, man, you wrote your own fate, so you deal with it. So I think from there, then apparently they get some sort of footage later on that proves that La Fuenza was visiting this cartel leader. So considering that these are two very high rollers in the drug and in the drug trading business, they're presuming that some sort of meeting is going to go down. So they need to figure out what's going on in those meetings. So I believe Lopez and Harper team up to go just overhear things, see what's going up. They managed to get some sort of approval from a judge so they can at least survey the audio of their conversation. But even La Fuenza knows about it, because she hires some dude to like just randomly start deep clean the floors at the same exact time, as well as code words. The video game industry, and I'm like, oh god, this is the only time I'm talking about video games on camera since a long ass time ago. Oh my god. But no, anyway, Yeah, so they're talking business. It seems like La Fuenza's trying to make a deal where she wants to absorb this other dude's business when he passes instead of just passing along to his son. And she promises that his son will get some sort of like the easy life approach. Like, you will give me your entire drug empire and I will give you a great life for your son, an easy life for your son. And he's considering it for a little bit. He is. And, however, during that conversation, she makes a play that, like, there's a certain lawyer that's getting involved in certain activities that, is going to be a threat to both of them. Yeah, obviously they're threatening Wesley because it's going to threaten Lopez. So, and then what's scary enough is Lopez tries to call Wesley, and his phone is left behind at the freaking, at the office they were at, because he got taken away by a detective. Turns out to be one of Fuenza's goons, who just initially is just trying to scare him, like, look, if you and your wife don't back down, if your wife doesn't back down from this, we will torture you, and that kid's gonna die. And Wesley, he's not an action hero. I'll respect that. Wesley did not try to have a macho moment here. That's definitely not his character. But he was stern. He was to the point. He lawyered his way out of it, and he's like, you know what? You're going to be rained hell upon if you target me or my wife or our unborn child. So you best watch out. So it's kind of like a stalemate there. Let's just leave it there. Thankfully, he heads back towards Lopez, who's relieved, and then Gray also manages to take over the overhearing operation, which does have some sort of like very early evidence proving that like La Fuenza was planning some sort of like negotiations and dealing in the illegal sphere with this other dude. So there is enough to at least start an investigation to have a task force assigned to this. So this is kind of a good step in the right direction. But of course, Gray asks Lopez that, hey, look, if it's a task force, I know you want to be involved with this, so do you want to? But Lopez doesn't give an answer just quite yet. Later on at the garage, Lopez is meeting with La Fuenza and his son before they're heading off back to Mexico, or I forgot what country they come from. I completely forgot. I'm sorry. I think it's Mexico. I think it is. They're about to head off since he has to go into recovery for at least a year and, physical therapy to kind of get back to normal, so to speak. Lopez tries to talk Fuenza out of taking over this other drug empire. She's like, look, you should cash out while you can. Just move somewhere far away and give your son the life he deserves. Don't give him the life you think he deserves. But La Fuenza's like, there is no retirement from this business. There isn't. There's only just, you got to keep going no matter what. And then, honestly, this was like the biggest shock of the episode was that apparently the other cartel was not a big fan of her offering, so they were about to kill her and her son, and they actually killed her son. And I'm like, fuck. Like, oh, shit, they went there. And I'm sorry my language is now supposedly off bury her, but I'm like, oh my god. Like, I wasn't expecting that at all. I really wasn't, because I was so focused on Henry that I was completely forgetting about this other kid. But he got shot down pretty easily, and sadly, Lopez goes into shoot the other ones, and then they have another shootout between two other shooters. She goes in for backup, and then Bradford and Harper show up. So the three of them are taking down the shooters. La Fuenza's like really distraught right now since she's obviously, of course, she's a mother who just literally saw her son die right in front of her. And I'm thinking, Jesus Christ, this feels so freaking bad right now. So anyway, where are we? Yeah, so Bradford and Harper do some maneuvers. They take down the shooters while Lopez is, hiding out behind the car. Great teamwork. Seems like somebody had a freaking also the way Bradford like tasered one dude and just shot the other one was like, only Bradford, man, only Bradford. Harper takes down the other dude. And then they allow Fuenza to go in and, just be with her son. And it's like, it's kind of heartbreaking since this was kind of like, her son was the only thing that was kind of grounding her in humanity. That, like, there's still a shiver of, humanity in her despite all the negative, horrible things she's done. And I'm presuming the last 2 decades of her life that what happens next? I'll get to that in a moment. But the calls off the scene, Gray and Harper, they're just kind of like surveilling the crime scene. La Fuenza kind of gets that last moment of like accepting the fact that her son is gone, and she leaves. And Harper makes a very valid point that kid was probably the only thing grounding her to the ground. Now that that's gone, her moral compass gone. Where does that leave her next? Grace says it's best. War's coming. And I was low-key hoping that we would see... This is entirely what I wanted. If everyone remembers my Season 2 reviews and now the Season 3 reviews, there's so many open plot lines from older recurring villainous groups that like we could have a war season on the Rookie. I know that's like kind of like thinking like, oh come on, that's really over the top. I'm like, come on, that would be freaking awesome. But yeah, war's coming. A cartel war is coming. We'll see that hopefully next week. Lopez is in the hospital, obviously now recovering, decompressing from all the stress from the shootout, and she feels for Influenza that she just lost her son, and considering how the both of them are kind of in very similar, trajectories, what will happen to Lopez if that happens to her, that sort of thing. And, Wesley's just there to comfort her, and, that's all he can do. I believe that ends that storyline for now. Oh, no, not yet. Bradford goes to see his former cop, dude, who's still not happy with the fact that, now that the old guy's dead, well, he's basically dead. He's not getting paid for the next 2 days, so he lost so much income. But Bradford's like, you know what, dude, you're going to have a very rough year ahead of you. The least you can do is try to go to rehab, kick this addiction and, just move on from there. But the guy initially is like, no, I can't. Like, I have to. This is the only thing keeping me through this entire difficult year. But it's only delaying the inevitable. It's better to do it now than later, which it manages to go through a little bit, and they manage to have a little sparkle of a friendship left over. So that was nice. Now on to the big one, because my brain is rattling over here because of everything. The next morning comes. Henry's kind of like more stabilitated, that sort of thing. It seems to be the valve they put in his system back when he was a kid, a baby, is now beginning to fail on him, so he's going to have more of these and they need to move him to surgery pretty soon. However, before we get to that, we get to finally meet the ex-wife of John Nolan, that I completely forgot her name about. I really forgot her name about, but she's there. She's not entirely what I envisioned Nolan's ex-wife to be, but the more you think about it, like, yeah, I'm pretty sure these two, like, we'll get scenes with them later on in the episode, but the attitude and the dynamic they have, even as a divorced married couple, I could very easily understand why this relationship would not have worked when they were in a marriage. Because this was definitely sort of like, first love, not really something that was really grounded in reality. They had a kid together, so they kind of had to stay together. So even once they started realizing that, like, yeah, there are cracks in this marriage, they wanted to stay together for the kid, and then once the kid goes, they were able to get divorced since, like, he was kind of old enough to kind of, like, be out of the house and do his own decisions, that sort of thing. Which, that makes sense. It does make sense, because Nolan and his ex-wife are two different people. Like, this is not someone Nolan would marry on his own malicious terms. It definitely isn't. But she's there. She's, there to comfort Henry, and then they reviewed their options, which is a very minimum invasive, very smaller term surgery that will give him back on his feet. But that surgery is only temporary for like 5 years, and then he'll have to do this whole thing again, or do an even more serious surgery that is more riskier, but he'll never have this problem for decades to come. Henry, in his right mind, just obviously wants to take the riskier surgery just so he doesn't have to think about this for a very long ass time. And even Nolan's backed up on his play on this, but the mom, she's not willing to do this because, like, when he was a baby, she's already dealt with all that, the heartache and the stress of, like, is this the surgery that's going to kill my baby? And thankfully it didn't, but, this is giving her a lot of PTSD, and going through this all over again, she doesn't want it to do this, and it's a very tough decision since, like, you got the father, the mother, and the fiance who they all want Henry to live, but they all have their different opinions on what option he could pick to sustain his life. And Henry was about to come to a decision before he goes into another cardiac arrest. Thankfully managed to resuscitate him fairly easily, but the doctor's like, well, we got to move into surgery right now. We cannot wait a single damn second. And Nolan's like, yeah, let's give him the more riskier surgery. The mom's like, no, he needs to take the shorter one. He needs to be alive today. The fiance doesn't know what to do since, she's not really family right now, so it makes it more difficult to kind of like give her a say. Plus, she doesn't really know what the right call will be. Nolan thankfully makes the right move and says, we cannot betray his wishes. We're going through with the more complicated surgery, so they go through that. A little bit ways later, the ex-wife is outside. Nolan and her have their first solo conversation since their divorce, and it's very weird. And it's like, this is how a divorced couple should behave, because my parents have been doing this game for almost a decade. They've never been like this at all, because they don't hate each other. They don't. They have respect for one another. They don't love each other anymore, but they have respect. As Nolan was just goofing off about, her, whoever she's dating right now. And they both agree, like, yeah, this is so weird that, like, we're talking about dating again other people. And it's just so weird because, like, they were married for, like, almost 2 decades, and now, they're just living life not as a couple anymore. And it is very weird, and, I agree with her on this, but I guess that was the whole reason why they didn't stick together, because, like, it just didn't work anymore, and now that, they I'm pretty sure they've met other people that were at least a little bit more compatible, that, that there was a much more brighter side to their divorce. But enough about that. Back on Henry's topic, she admits that, like, when she was, dealing with all the surgeries growing up for him, she was very scared, and this could be the one that, could take away my baby boy. And she was never an optimist like Nolan is, even back then to now. She's not like that because she doesn't like to have that false sense of, hope in her, which obviously I disagree. I'm definitely more of a Nolan side thing where it's like, yeah, I want to be hopeful. I want to be able to see that, like, things will be better and, things will turn out all right. Like, I believe Nolan's attitude is fine, but I do get his ex-wife's point of view that, there has to be a realistic expectation, especially with this type of surgery. But that's kind of where the conversation ends, and they head back inside. And then way later on, like towards the end of the episode, which I know this wasn't like the biggest storyline, but this was kind of like the focal one this week. They're in the hospital room. They're kind of just waiting for the surgery to kind of like be fully wrapped up, and it does, thankfully. And I was kind of low key scared for this point, and this was kind of like where I was a little bit disappointed about. I will explain this in a bit. I will, but the doctor comes in pretty quickly and explains that, yeah, Henry's fine. The surgery was actually pretty good. He's in recovery now. You'll get to see him in a few hours. And look, here's the thing. I'm all about happy endings. I really am. But it's just so weird how this promo was cut together. The promo for this episode came together a couple weeks ago, where you kind of got this expectation of like, yeah, Henry could go, but then showing the embracing scene was like, yeah, they're definitely not going to kill him off. I kind of knew that going in, that they weren't going to kill off Henry. I was still like, they already killed the other kids, so I'm like, is anyone safe? Like, is every kid safe? And it's like, it's kind of really scary, but I think at the end of the day, I'm perfectly fine with keeping Henry alive. I do believe there's way more for him to do and to grow. I do understand that. I don't know why. Like, I think it would have been a very interesting direction to push Nolan in, like, that dark zone. Like, will Nolan be able to get out of this pit? I don't know. Maybe it's better that they didn't explore that option, but I don't know. I would have been very curious to see how that option would have went and how that route would have went. But we'll never know, and that's perfectly fine. And that ends this week's episode of The Rookie. So overall, based on point, I really enjoyed this episode. I was very surprised at certain moments. I was not surprised at others. I think they did a very good job at the end of the day, and this definitely kind of like put down the feeling of like you will do anything for the people you love, and especially the ones who are like very close to you. And I think that was kind of like the theme for this week's episode, mostly throughout. So. I really did enjoy it. I really did. I'm actually curious if we're going to see Nolan's ex-wife again pop up in the future. Not to like rekindle or anything, but just like to see more of that dynamic. I would really be curious to see that a little bit more. And yeah, this cartel war thing, promo for next week. looks crazy. I can't wait to see how they're gonna explore that and how they're gonna like bring this to the rookie. I can't wait to see how that's gonna go. But overall, yeah, I really did enjoy this episode. I really did, and I think it deserves. Screw it, let's go with 2 thumbs up. I'm gonna go without the end of the day. So, yeah, there you go. So let me know in the comments below. What did you think of this week's episode of The Rookie? Let me know. I'm always down for conversation down below. So leave your comments there. And I think that's going to do it for me tonight because, as always, on these Rookie Sundays, I am usually exhausted by the end of it. So, if you're unaware, this has been What's in the Tube from ActionX, reviewing every episode in the 3rd season of The Rookie. If you want to see more of our What's in the Tube content, we're also okay, sorry. It's been a long day, so I messed up the moniker. I'm so sorry. Or my usual ending wrap up, segment. If you want to know what we're doing overall on What's in the Tube, besides those rookie reviews, we're doing Nancy Drew season 2 episode reviews each and every Wednesday on the Thursday mornings after a brand new episode on Wednesday nights on the CW or free the next day on the CW app. We're also doing Walker episode reviews each and every Friday morning after a brand new episode on Thursday nights on the CW or free the next day on the CW app. Next week, we are beginning our Saturday time block for What's in the Tube, where we will be reviewing High School Musical, the series, season 2, every episode. So that will be starting next week. But this Saturday, we're going to kickstart our Saturday time slot with High School Musical 3. I know it's technically made for feeders, so technically it's not on the tube, but guess fucking what? It started on TV, so I'm going to make it count on TV. So we're reviewing High School Musical 3 this Saturday morning. Stay tuned for that. But if you only care about the rookie, you're in luck. We'll be back next Monday morning for another review, which will be the penultimate episode of the season. So they got a lot on the ball. They got a lot on the on the money here. It's gotta be a big finish. Big finish. Big. So again, with that being said, again, this has been What's in the Tube from ActionX. If you want to see more of us, please subscribe to ActionX on YouTube.com. Ring that bell for notification when our next episode review is live for The Rookie, which is normally every Monday mornings. Like, favorite, share of this review if you have not, but it does help us get us out there to other members of the Rookie Nation fan base who has yet to discover us. It helps us beat up that YouTube algorithm, as well as sharing is always for free. Follow us on social media to stay up to date with any sort of updates for the channel. And for all you members of the Rookie Nation, I'll see you all next week for the penultimate episode. But until then, stay safe out there, be good to each other, and as always, peace out.